Perhaps I get asked this more often because I'm a priest, but I'll bet everyone does, at least occasionally, get asked two questions. People who know we're believers, who know we're faithful, will sometimes say to us, will I go to hell if I eat meat on a Lenten Friday, or if I miss Mass, or something along those lines? But alternatively, some people ask us with earnestness, what can I do to be a better Catholic? I think question one can be translated as, what's the least that I can do? Still be saved, still be a good person. But the latter, more importantly, asks, what's the best that I can do? What's the best that I can be? Ultimately, the first question springs from a perspective that sees the law, that sees faithfulness to a set of commandments as limits. But ideally, the law is a formula for inner peace, for a more justly ordered society, and importantly, for our own eternal salvation. In the 1970s, certain Christian communities and a little bit amongst certain Catholic thinkers, there was a notion that took hold that the New Testament somehow replaced the Old, and that there were no fixed rules. You know, everything is okay as long as we all love each other. But what does Jesus say in today's gospel? Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have come not to abolish, but to fulfill. And in the first reading from Deuteronomy, Moses doesn't present the law as a burden, but as a gift. You will give evidence of your wisdom and intelligence to the nations. We enter as Christians into a compact, aptly expressed in Exodus, when God says, I will be your God and you will be my people. And we are the heirs to that covenant. And we reaffirm that covenant as individuals at our baptism, importantly at our confirmation, and every time we renew our baptismal promises. It is in embracing the law and not seeing the law as a burden that we find true freedom and we find true happiness. People will ask, and I'm sure we've all heard it, do I have to give up something for Lent? I like to turn the question around. Do you want to give up something for Lent? If I deny myself my beloved potato chips at lunch, not guaranteeing myself an easy path to heaven, I know that. But I'm not doing it because someone told me I have to. But when I don't have that potato chip, or someone else doesn't have candy, or someone else goes out of their way, adjusts their schedule, their daily routine during Lent, so that they can make it to Mass, it's a loving embrace. If it's a burden, if it's done under a sense of obligation, what value does it have? How can it bring us any type of inner transformation? There's all the difference between embracing something and being forced to acquiesce. We have this great season of Lent. Lent is our opportunity to acknowledge the law, to embrace the law. And part of that embracing the law is asking oneself, how am I doing in following the law? The more we see it as the path to personal happiness, as I said earlier, the more we will have a sense that it matters, that it's important, and therefore the more disappointed we'll be in ourselves for those areas in which we aren't too compliant or in which we could use improvement. And Lent invites us to a personal reflection upon that so that we can take the remedial steps, the positive steps, that help us to be so much embracers of the law, so joyful in the law, that the meaning of the Paschal mystery and the meaning of Christ's resurrection will have more personal impact on us and a source of greater joy. The two readings, the ending of the first reading from Deuteronomy and the ending of today's gospel, offer us a contrast as great as the contrast between the two questions I mentioned at the outset. Jesus teaches in the gospel, whoever breaks one of the least of these commandments and teaches others to do so will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. Least. But Moses taught us in the first reading that teach these commandments to your children and your children's children. Why not do that? Why not embrace the law? And why not strive to be what Jesus called in the gospel greatest in the kingdom of heaven?